This is Catalyst. Alam nyo ba na lumulubog ang itlog sa ordinary water? Pero lumulutang ito sa tubig na may asin. Bakit? Tara, samahan nyo kami.
Before we begin our experiment, let us first understand what is the scientific method is. The scientific method is a systematic process used by scientists and researchers to investigate questions, solve problems, and discover new knowledge. It allows us to make observation, formulate hypotheses, conduct experiment, analyze data, and draw conclusion.
The scientific method consists of 6 major steps. First is observation, where we identify a phenomenon or problem.
In our daily lives, we notice that some objects float while others sink when placed in water. For example, leaves float on the surface of water while stones immediately sink. We also observe that when an egg is placed in ordinary tap water, it usually sinks to the bottom of the container. This observation made us curious. Why does the egg sink in an ordinary water? Can we change that? These observations led us to our scientific question.
Second is question, where we ask what we want to investigate.
Our scientific question is, does the amount of salt dissolved in water affect the ability of an egg to float? In other words, can adding salt to water make an egg to float?
Third is hypothesis, an educated guess that can be tested. Our hypothesis is if more salt is added to the water, then the egg will float because salt increases the density of water. We expect that the egg will sink in plain water but gradually float as the amount of salt increase. Now let us test our hypothesis through experimentation.
We can perform our experiment without our materials. So, the materials we needed are 3 transparent glasses. 1, 2, 3. Water, 1 raw egg, salt, measuring spoon, and stirring spoon. To ensure fairness, all glasses contain approximately the same amount of water.
Fourth is experiment, where we test our hypothesis.
For glass A, we prepared plain water with no salt. For glass B, we added 3 tablespoons of salt. For glass C, we added 6 tablespoons of salt and mixed thoroughly. Now, we are ready to conduct our experiment. First, we gently place the egg into glass A containing plain water. As observed, the egg immediately sinks to the bottom. Next, we place the egg into glass B containing 3 tablespoons of salt. This time, the egg begins to rise and partially floats. Finally, we place the egg into glass C, containing 6 tablespoons of salt. As we can see, the egg successfully floats near the surface of the water. The experiment is now complete. Let us examine our findings.
Fifth is analysis, where we examine and interpret the result.
Based on the results, we observed that the egg floated higher as the amount of salt increases. This happens because salt increases the density of water. Density refers to how much matter is packed into a certain space. When enough salt is dissolved in water, the water becomes denser than the egg. As a result, the water exerts a greater upward force known as buoyancy, allowing the egg to float. The same scientific principle explains why it is easier for people to float in highly salty bodies of water such as the Dead Sea. Our experiments demonstrate how a change in one variable, in this case the amount of salt, can significantly affect the outcome.
And lastly is conclusion, where we determine whether our hypothesis is supported or rejected.
Based on the result of our experiment, we conclude that the amount of salt dissolved in water affects the ability of an egg to float. The egg sank in plain water, partially floated in moderately salty water, and floated completely in highly salty water. Therefore, our hypothesis was supported by the evidence gathered during the experiment. This experiment demonstrates the importance of the scientific method in helping us answer questions and understand the world around us through observation, testing, and evidence-based conclusion.
Science is not only found in laboratories, it is present in our everyday lives. Through the scientific method, we can better understand natural phenomena, solve problems, and make informed decisions.
We hope that this experiment helped you understand how the scientific method works and why it remains one of the most important tools in science and society.
So we are Group Catalyst!